All we're going to do here is this. We're going to find the zeros by factoring. And what's nice about these here, I was not super mean on the ones that were chosen for like the test. First off, we can factor stuff with x squared by either using the quadratic formula or factoring, but this isn't an x squared. But yet, the first thing I need to look at, is there something common to all of these? Yes. Actually, the first thing I need to do is what? Set it equal to what?
0.
0. And then I determine if there's what? Something common. What's common to all of them? An x squared. Now I factor that out. Now I have an x squared here, so I can just factor this. And here's what's really nice. When we factor it, just look at that part right there only. Factors of 12. We're 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, right? Correct? What's the sign in front of 12? So I'm just going to add them. And you kind of, my numbers don't really show up too well right there because, hold on a second, we can fix that. All right. Which one of those makes the middle number?
6 and 2.
6 and 2. So I'm going to write this x squared, I have this 6, and I have this 2. The larger number of these two always matches that middle sign. So what's the 8? So it has to be a minus. And if the last one's positive, they have to be the same. So it's minus. Now here's what's really nice. So now I'm just going to do this here. Set each of these to 0, so x squared equals 0, x minus 6 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. Here, square root it. Now technically you have a plus or minus, but is 0 ever positive or negative? No. And then add 6, add 2. So my answers are 0, 6, and 2. That will be the answers. Okay? Now, another way you can do this, go to your calculator, type in your y equals, type the problem in the calculator, and here's what you get for a table. Now I didn't show all the table, I just showed the ones that were pertinent. And notice, I'm going to highlight in red. The answers where y is 0 are your answers. Notice, and their answers are what? 0, 2, and what?
6.
6. So I can find that one really easy, all right? So let's look at the next one. The next one's kind of the same thing. Notice, I can't, first off, set it to 0. And notice, is there something common? An x. So I'm going to take an x out, and I'm going to factor this one. Factors 4. Notice it's still a plus sign. Which ones add to make the middle number? 2's. Yeah. So here's what I have. Now here, and just like before, it doesn't really matter because these are both what? The same number, but the larger one always matches that sign. Negative, and because it was positive, they're both what? Negative. So here's what I know. Set them each equal to 0, so x equals 0, that's one answer. This will be x equals 2 because x minus 2 equals 0. So there's my answers here. Or you can go to what? Y equals, type it in, and once again look at your table and notice, where were the only two places we got 0? At what? 0 and what? 2. That's even easier, right? Now this doesn't work all the time, because the next problem this method is not going to give you all your answers, right? Yes, what's your question?
Okay, so you know there's like...
Okay, shh, I can't hear her. Yes?
You know there's two or whatever?
Yes.
Okay, well on the table there's only like 1 and 2. So how
Yes.
did you know that
Then what? Here's how you might know that answer there is, let's go to your calculator and what? Let's show it on the graph, right? Let's move that over, just back over to that side. And here, that's a great question. So here's how you know. Go to your calculator, y equals, and let's put this problem in. So it'll be what? X to the what? Third power, right? Arrow out, minus 4x squared plus 4x. Hit graph. Okay, and notice, what did it do that, I type it in right?
No, you forgot the 4.
I forgot the 4, okay. So 4x, see I knew the graph wasn't right because my answers didn't match up with what was on the graph, right? So now I put this in there, notice, it bounced at what? It bounced right there. So if it bounces, that tells me there's not one answer but what?
2.
2. So and that's the only way that you would know that, all right? That's a great question, okay? So let's do this here. So now then, let's go to the next problem. Okay? Here, same thing. 0. What's common to each of those? What's common? 1x. So I'm going to factor that 1x out, and I'm going to set these equal to 0. I could do that with this x squared, because now I'm just going to what? Add 7, and then one of the tests will be like this. And what would I do this one? Now what? Square root. When you square root it, you have the what? Positive or what? Negative answer. All right? Now here's the problem with your calculator method. If you go to the calculator and put that in, it's only going to show you this one answer right here. All right, got it? You have to know this here. But if you look at the calculator, you'll know that there's another answer between what? -2 and -3, because it goes from what? -6 to what? 6. Well, that means it had to cross 0 somewhere between what? -2 and what? -3. It also had to cross 2 between where? Between 2 and 3, you also have what? A negative and a what? Positive. And guess what? The square root of 7 is that number right there. All right? 2.6, negative square root of 7 is -2.6. So that would be between what? Those numbers. Okay? So that tells you there's a number at least what? Between there. The way you can find that on the calculator would be to do this here. All right? Go to your calculator. Turn it on. Do your y equals. And this time I have what? X to the third power, arrow out, minus 7x. Maybe I'll type it in right this time. As I hit my graph, you can see that right there. And I could do this here. Second, calculate, and I want to find a 0. That's option what? 2. And I'm going to arrow to where I'm what? I'm left of it, lock it, and now I'm going to do it what? I'm right of it. And notice, what do you see? -2.6457. Isn't that exactly what I had right there, right? And you could do the same thing over here, only this time instead of negative, it would be what? Positive. I mean, it'd be second calculate. I'll go ahead and do that. I want to do option 2. But this time, I have to be, I want to be left of it, which is down below it, and above it, right? And it gave me the same exact number, this time positive instead of what? Negative, okay? So that's one thing you can do on that, all right? And so now then let's go to our last one, like this one here. Okay? This one here is a quadratic, so I might do this first here. Set it to 0 and take the 2 times the 3. Don't worry about whether it's what, negative or positive. Take 2 times 3. The AC method or MF darn, and that makes 6. And then you factor 6. Now, this time am I going to add them or subtract these numbers? And how do you know? What's the sign right here?
Minus.
So I'm going to minus these. So which one minuses and makes 5? The 6 and 1. So I'm going to rewrite my problem. Now this is not the answer. I'm leaving a space with my 6 and a space with the 1. What did I say is always true about the larger number? It has to match what? The middle sign. So 6 has to be positive. And because this one's negative, the only way to get a negative is one's positive and one's what? Negative. So they have to be different. Now, that's not the answer because 6 times -1 would be -6, right? But like I multiplied by 2, now I have to what? Divide by the what? 2. Right? When you divide by that 2, well, here's what's nice. Will 2 go into 6 evenly?
Yes.
Yes. And will 2 go into 1 evenly? No, so think to my little Madagascar and what? Move it, move it, move it, move it. Just going to move the 2 in front. And now those are the factor terms. So that means I set those equal to 0. So x would be -3. Here I would add 1 divided by 2. And actually I probably almost could have stopped right there and just said the answer would be what? If it's x minus 1/2 equals 0. I mean, I didn't really probably have to do that, but I kind of teach them on when to then show the right factors for it. So x is -3 and 1/2. And if you do the calculator method, all right, the calculator method, here are the numbers you get. And notice the only answer that showed up is what? The -3, 0. But I know there's an answer between 0 and 1 because it went from -3 to 4, right? And you can do that second calculate if you needed to on that one. And it would have told you the answer was 0.5 if you do a second calculate on it. All right, I'm not gonna do that particularly, because this is one you should be able to do. You could also use quadratic formula if you wanted to.